What's going on, HPP fam? Welcome back to another episode. Welcome back to the grind, baby. So as you can see, we've got Alfonso's Corvette separated. I just found it easier to deal with twin turbo in this thing out of the car. So as you can see, we've done some grinding and some modifications to clearance for the precision turbos. So we got this side pretty much situated, and then same, we had to do some clearing with the motor mount on this side. So I think I've got everything pretty much where it's going to sit. And lighten that up a bit. Like I said, I think I've got everything pretty much where it's going to sit. So now I can go ahead and drill the pan and start doing some of the oil line stuff. And get the other downpipe on here. But we're slowly plugging away on this. Obviously things are a little bit slower in the shop now that I'm a one-man band, but we're gonna get it taken care of, get it knocked out. In the meantime, another project that we're about to get rocking and rolling on is this Jeep. Pretty dope little Jeep. It is a 5.7 liter. As we move forward with our week, as you can see, we've got another Hellcat in, and we are currently replacing fuel pressure sensor on the back side of the blower. On the fuel rails on these things, there's a fuel sensor, and this is probably the fourth or fifth one I've replaced now on a Hellcat. And this car is a 2016, I believe, and most of the other ones I've done have been in 2015, 2017. So most likely this is going to become a prevalent issue with these cars if it isn't already. So you guys watch out for that. Get a check engine light for it. Fix is replacement. So I've got the new rails right here. Go ahead and swap the injectors over. Get this Hellcat back together and get it on back to the customer. And just like that, now that we've got our new fuel rails installed with our new fuel pressure switch, all the issues are resolved with this Hellcat, and get it on back to the customer and get on the next one. So guys, I haven't been picking up the camera, but as you can see, I've got this Jeep blown apart. So we've got our new Texas Speed Stage 2 camshaft ready to go in the motor. So we can get this thing lubed up and get it installed. I've also already got the cylinder head valve springs done, and the cylinder head's cleaned up, ready to go back on. So let's get after it. Oh yeah. And just like that, whoop, our Jeep is all back together. Sorry for not picking up the camera after you guys watching the cam go in. Just had to get her all knocked out. So all I am waiting on is the coolant and the oil from O'Reilly's, and we'll get the fluids back in this thing, get it fired up, and the next time you see this Jeep, it will be on the dyno. So I hopped in the ECU in this thing first thing this morning, got a nice little bass map in it. As you can hear, she's fired up, running like a top. Got her on the dyno. Pretty soon we're gonna strap it down, get some tuning on this thing. But as you can see, fuel trims are looking pretty good already. Idling nice, getting her up to operating temperature. So see what kind of pow she can make. Another cam job. This one is a 2015 5.7 liter Hemi. It's getting a Stage 2 Texas Speed camshaft. So I wanted to stop for a second and show you this thing. Customer thought it was a rod knock or Actually, let me rephrase that. His mechanic said it was a rod knot. He didn't believe it. We told him it was a 90% chance that it's a cam, not a rod knot. Brought it to us, and I wanted to show you. We pulled both valve covers off. And take a peek, see right here. Check this out. Everything's still tightened down. We haven't loosened up the rocker shafts. That is a bad lifter. I didn't check any of the other ones. I just, as I was working, just grabbed that one because it looked offset. It was sitting there like that. I was like, that is not okay. So, without seeing the car, boom, we already know this thing has a bad lifter. So we're going to get the MDS out of this thing, put a set of Hellcat lifters in it, put a Texas Speed cam in it, give it some chop, bring some life back to this 5.7 Hemi, and get it on back to the customer. Never ceases to amaze me what you find working on other people's vehicles. There is a 13mm stuck on the drain bolt on this oil pan. So we're about to find out how fun this is to get off. Picking up the camera a little late. As you can see, I'm rocking and rolling, putting this Hemi back together. So cams in, motors timed, valve springs are on. Got to torque them heads, put all the rocker shafts back on, radiator back in, valve covers, intake manifold, you know the drill. And then this one will be ready to hit the dyno. In the meantime, ooh, look at the S10, looking fresh. Did a little intercooler setup in the bed. I don't know if I showed you guys that. Turned out pretty cool. But wanted to discuss this one. 2014 5.7 liter Hemi, ran 1500, 2-wheel drive. This thing got dropped off for a tune and got brought in on the record. It's got a Texas Speed Stage 2 camshaft in it. I'm not sure who installed it. Maybe the customer did it himself. Not really sure. Didn't ask. Irrelevant. So put a base map in it so I can get it up and running and get it onto the dyno so that way I could tune it. And she would not. If you floored it, you get it to fire up, and if you mess with the gas super hard, you can get it to keep running. But we all know that's not right. And we also all know I've tuned so many of these Hemis. My base map, pretty good. Anyways, so I went to taking off my tuner hat and put on my diag hat, and I pulled the valve covers because anybody who's ever worked on a Hemi has missed a push rod before. It happens. So that was my assumption, that maybe they missed a push rod. Not that they didn't put it in, but they didn't get it set right, and they tightened everything, and then the push rod wasn't in its proper home. So pulled this side valve cover off, didn't find anything wrong with the push rods. Pulled this side valve cover off, didn't find anything wrong with the push rods. But then I looked closer and I noticed it still had the factory push rods in it instead of Texas Speed push rods. Now, according to Texas Speed, but I don't believe this, if you put in their stage 2 camshaft and you don't put the valve springs, you do not have to change the push rods. But why would you put a camshaft in and not change the valve springs? So, as here nor there, customer stated that Texas Speed told him he did not need the push rods. Well, we all know that if you put a camshaft in and you do not measure your push rod length, you will have valves that stay open when they are not supposed to. And so we got a set of the correct Texas Speed push rods, currently slapping them in right now. Once I get them slapped in, put the truck back together, I'm willing to bet you that she fires up, chops, and purrs like a kitten. So stay tuned. We get this thing wrapped up, and then I'm going to finish that cam job, and the rest of the week, which is today and tomorrow, will be spent on the dyno. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, just like that, the right push rods, and this truck is up and running, chopping down the block, ready to be tuned. Side note, it wouldn't have mattered anyways. My boy. Look at that. My boy had the pimp push rod in there anyway. So, it wasn't gonna work regardless. But we got her shopping, ready to rock. Strap it down. We made our final pulls on our ram. And she finished out at 331 horsepower, 387 foot-pounds of torque. So, looking good. This one's wrapped up. Take it for a test drive. Send her on home. Well, guys, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Appreciate you guys watching. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.